What's up, guys? So, I'm here to talk about how meditation is much deeper than breathing technique. All right, have a good one, guys. Thank you. That was a little joke. All right, but seriously, do I think you should be focusing on your breathing? Of course. Make time to be still, even with your eyes closed. Yes. Should you be rocking out and having quite the spiritual journey in the dark and performing in front of an audience of none? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But what I realized over the course of this spiritual journey, if I had to put it in time, I would say it was a little over 7 years. There's a couple of things that I realized, and I realized that meditation is uh, it enables you to be at such a high level of consciousness that you choose to make sacrifices that you don't necessarily have to make. And I'm gonna make a video on this soon about the things that you don't do and how it makes your life better. But it's not only is it making moves that you don't necessarily have to make because you can see a fate that others cannot possibly anticipate, but you start to, and I'm going to be all over the place with this. This is very deep, but you also start to tap into what the world is missing, what the world around you is missing. And so you become that. A great deal of this life, a great deal of my life, maybe I'm wrong, when it comes to other people, but for myself, I realize that I'm quite the passenger, and everybody else in the world around me, they are the drivers. Not saying that I don't have control of my life, but just follow me. Other people are the drivers, and no matter what I see, I can't steer them in any other direction. That's up to them. So all I could do is say, basically, when you ride in somebody, you hate the way they drive. You're like, oh, you gotta drive like this. And then you just think to yourself, well, I mean, when I get into my car, I'm definitely gonna be driving the speed limit and be or whatever it is. I'm gonna go fast or whatever it is. Now, when you're in the driver's seat, you drive how you want to drive, but when it comes to other people, you gotta let them do them. And if you're in a position where it could harm you, then you have to have the presence of mind to know to escape, to not put yourself in those positions. That's right. Yes, yes, Jaguar. Universe sent this live message to you. Yes. You just came out of 5 minutes of meditation, messing around and practicing. And here I am. Here I am. I have quite a bit of experience. One thing that you will learn is you will learn to, and I still have dealings with the ego, but you will learn that you need to take a few steps back when it comes to other people, when it comes to what you see. And it goes back to the point that I just made as far as um, changing your world. If you don't like what you see around you, then you have to kind of become the change that you wish to see, as we've been told. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes a lifestyle, and especially now, everything's all over the place. We got all of these distractions, and being present is one of the best things that you can do. One thing that I've actually really kind of uh, gripped onto this year, and maybe it's because I kind of solidified a type of security, is actually just laying there. And now it may not seem like there's much of a difference between laying there scrolling on your phone, laying there looking at the ceiling, but I'm telling you it is. And that's because when you consume, let's say, social media, scrolling and things like that, and I'm as guilty as anybody else, and I've definitely spent a great deal of time of consuming. But that's just that. When you are doing this, you're consuming, and in this consumption, you are vulnerable. You're vulnerable to whatever people want you to read, and in some regards, you are affected by that. You know what I'm saying? You might get annoyed. You might get anxious. You may start comparing yourself, whatever it may be. But as opposed to when you were just lying on your back staring at the ceiling, like I seem to do quite a bit any time of the day, then your imagination takes over, and then you start to reflect. You have introspection. You may even ruminate. But hey, what's going on? But it is in this quiet, is in this darkness, is in this isolation that certain answers start to come to you. Because if it's one thing that I realize about who I've become as a human, is just that my questions are kind of quite direct. You know what I'm saying? It's like every little question that I have, I just can't seem to let it go. I ask others. I look it up on the internet. I'll look it up on Twitter, see if anybody else talking about this. I look up on Google, whatever it is. I just want to see if other people are also thinking about these things, and I kind of store it. It's like puzzle pieces. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you may get your hands on a specific piece of information. It may not mean anything to you. You go living your life. You start, learning more about the world and yourself, and exposing yourself to more information, expanding your horizons, and you might just be listening to something. You may be reading something. You like, that reminds me of that one thing. You know what I'm saying? You start tying them together. That's the beautiful thing about the mind. All right. The problem with the human experience is that we try to put these barriers in between who we are and who we could be, and that's just not natural. All right. Let's see what we got. You got the message at 11:11. Yeah, that is when I started. Yeah, uh, looks like it was the perfect time. And the funny thing is, I've been wanting to do this video for a long time, a very long time. And it just so happened. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, my brother, who makes beautiful meals, by the way. And check him out. Beautiful meals, great person. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. But where was I? I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Asking the right questions. Let me get some water. So you start asking these. You start asking. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember. The more information you start to learn, you start making these connections, and then I started talking about, as humans, I feel like we have it wrong, because only humans will try to put barriers in front of who they could become. The mind is very beautiful, and is very resilient when we talk about all of the things that we do to compromise it. You know, all of these substances, and look, and I'll admit, all of it is not really our fault. Let's just face it. The mind is resilient. We are resilient. We have been placed in a society that, from our birth, and pretty much most people alive, they have been having to deal with a society that now has only monetized everything, made quite a monopoly out of everything. They turn it into a hunger game of sorts. Not even just with the food, but with the information, which is a food of sorts. They do it all across the board. And so naturally I noticed the signs of a crumbling society, and not crumbling on us, actually crumbling around us. This is why I preach spirituality, especially at a time like this, is because I can see where the world is heading, you know? And even though I see how things are going to get better, to a lot of people, it's not going to seem like that initially. Just like right now, it's not seeming like that. You know what I'm saying? We have a stronghold to a society that has been dying, kind of far before we've been a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, uh, and that's just, if you read the book Lynchpin, it kind of sums that up. Is that everybody's trying to make nuts and bolts out of themselves, and they think that's the logical thing to do, but really that's the robotic thing to do, because all we ever are in the society for the most part are placeholders for AI, man. And I always give this simple example when we talk about assembly lines. You know what I'm saying? At one point, it was I hand this to you, you hand it to the next person, you hand it, then it becomes the belt. I put it on the belt, then you put it on the belt, and the next person, and then it becomes the machine puts it on the belt, and this part of the machine puts it. That's just what it is. So I was always kind of mindful of that when it comes to where are we going in this world. What can I do that a robot can't replace me at doing? I mean, damn near heavy. You know what I'm saying? That really narrows down a lot of your options. Now, if you really want to kind of be a capitalist or whatever, or really want to get ahead of the curve, and then you start focusing on robotics, and then you say, "Oh, look, I got work. All right, I can program these motherfuckers. I can take them apart." You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not trying to push anybody in any direction, because I mean, there's going to be a lot of work in the tech field regardless. A lot of underfilled positions for the past, I don't know, 2 decades probably, and that's just. And I definitely think, I don't want to say I think that's going to change, because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. What I actually think will change is people taking these jobs or going after degrees that just don't really have any security implications. You know what I'm saying? Like going to college to major in Spanish. What a ripoff, huh? What a ripoff. It's a good thing that I anticipate great deal of bailouts, and so I don't know, quite the reset for many. I know I'm getting all over the place, but that's just how I operate. And another thing that I realize is that when we talk about how we've been indoctrinated by time, and I gotta get up at 6 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe you do have to get up at 6 o'clock, but the thing is, I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock, even though I favor that. I favor waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Actually, I really like that. I really like the stillness of it. And sometimes I feel pressure on myself if I stay up late at night, which I do quite a bit. Or sometimes, I subconsciously like down myself, just like, "Oh, you stayed up all night." Or it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? That's just programming. It's all about what you do in the time that you are awake. If that's what you want, it doesn't have to mean that, but you know what I'm saying. It's a matter of perspective, which is practice meditation any given day. You know what I'm saying? Somebody may see the tree in the front yard as a burden. Others may see it as shade. You know what I'm saying? Others may Others may think a backyard is good for just having a bunch of area to play. Some may say, it's a nice place to set up a couple fruit trees. You know what I'm saying? It's all about where your mind goes, and you start looking to your neighbor and let them influence you, and you may be going down a very narrow path. All right, and it's like I said it before. I mean, it's like as above, so below. Things happen in many aspects, and so I told you before that for my business last year. I mean, I took quite a hit this year, but I'm not tripping, man. I'm very privileged. Let me just say that I really am. But for my business last year, I would have to go to an area in which a lot of people were coming from. You know what I'm saying? So I would go to an area to buy certain things at times, items to sell, while others were coming from that area because their work was back where I was coming from. When I was going there, not a lot of traffic. Them on the way to work, traffic jams. All right. And actually, when it comes to something like that, when you talk about rush hour and things like that, just tiny shift, and now you don't have to avoid with traffic. You're a little bit earlier than them, no traffic. You're a little bit later than them, no traffic. All right. And this is why you got to expand beyond the confines of what is given to you. All right. They want everybody to be at the same place around the same time for damn near the same reason. Okay. It's a quite a well, I mean, it's called a system. I don't need to say it's a robotic system. That's just like it's like a overkill. All right. So you know what it is. And also you know the things that are harming you or the things that don't work for you. And it's that way for a reason. And other people, if you will allow, because a lot of people, they aren't tapped in. This is the importance of meditation. Like when you, okay, and I may lose my train of thought completely, but I really have to stress this. And this is my own personal battle. It's the battle with the ego and the spirit. Is that I realize, and I didn't know that this was going to happen. I didn't go through this journey so I can just beat on my chest and say, look where I am. But I got to be honest with you. You go on this spiritual journey, and you end up getting quite a deep understanding of the world around you, not only through what you experience, but how others kind of replicate what you once did. And you can see these things at many angles, and it bothers you. It bothers you that other people cannot see it. But it just, first of all, it just goes to show what happens when you do tap into this. And it also goes to show that you can't just settle for what the flesh gives to you, because although it may be given to you with great intentions, if a person doesn't know cyanide is in the drink they're handing you, it's no good. It work against you. It don't matter if they love you. If you die, you die. Right. Go to places with less resistance. You know what I'm saying? They say the world is overpopulated. But when I choose to go to the places I want to go, I don't see people there. If I go to a trail sometimes, because that's where I want to go at a specific time, any given moment of the day, it's always empty. You know what I'm saying? This is before coronavirus, before the scamdemic, before the shamdemic, before that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to clog themselves up in I don't know what people were doing, the harbor or the mall, whatever it is. And here I am. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of choices. A lot of us, we feel pressured for reasons we can't even explain to go somewhere that we don't even really want to be. That's what, it's just because other people are going to be there. You know what I'm saying? Be all closed in together. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but ultimately, I gotta say this: you spend too much time around people, and it's nothing wrong with being an extrovert. I mean, I would not try to recruit anybody to be anything like me at all. But you spend too much time around people, and you get your power from being around people and things like that, and you be quick to realize that you're never left with your own thoughts. And I, which seems like a life sentence or a death sentence for a lot of people to be stuck with your own voice. But it feels good that my voice is the dominating one in my head. I'm always listening. I'm always observing. I could fool a lot of you because I'm not a big talker when the camera's not on me. I'm just listening. Always listening. Sometimes with disgust, but the more I focus on it, the less I judge others. It's just because sometimes when you just see things that others are yet to see, and they're slow to the party, even if you know that they will see it eventually. Sometimes it can be frustrating, And I guess a big frustrating part about it is just because I'm an empath. I'm like open to the suffering of the world, and that was unfortunately a downside of tapping into this spiritual journey, awakening of sorts. I remember reading up on this when I first got on this journey, and they talk about dark night of the soul. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, yeah, dark night of the soul. But what about that higher consciousness? I'm trying to be above this suffering of the world, and I didn't know that I would actually be embodying the suffering of the world. And people tell me that I can't turn it off. Like people will say, "Well, you can't just why can't you just focus on the good, the positives?" My friends, I know something is wrong. If I know something is wrong, I'm a squeaky wheel. It just so happens that I'm alive at a time where I will see the resolve. We will see the resolve, and now it seems to be worth it. It's worth it. All right, because what my job will be, as it'd be the job of some of you other people, other good people, is that when shit really does hit the fan and things do get too unbearable, when a lot of this news comes out about who was doing what with what child, and what they were doing with the food and what they were doing with the money and things like that, then it'll be our job to say, hey, hold on now, hold on. Look, I've been reading up on this shit for 7 years. I got you. All right. You see, I'm not worried. It's because I knew that this was going to happen. All right. I even took it upon myself to start planting a couple seeds prior to, just saying, this may happen with no specific date in mind, really. But I say, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen, just to kind of bridge that gap. You know what I'm saying? So it's not one of those things where something happens and you see a guy, I knew it, I knew it all along, but never really said anything about it. It kind of brings a type of security to people to say, look, I said this was coming. You know what I'm saying? I said this was going to happen, whatever. Now let me show you why it's not that bad. All right, so that's what I signed up for. And no, I mean, I don't know if I embodied the suffering so much because I knew that it was coming to an end, which I really didn't, not too long ago. And I'm talking about specific sufferings at a large, at a large quantity. There will always be suffering. It's a great part of life. It's the beauty of life. Um, but so I don't know if I internalized it because of that or just because I realized my connection with this world. And like I said earlier, I noticed a lot of things were wrong. A lot of things felt wrong to me because they actually were. You know what I'm saying? And how resilient of us to suck up how we feel and truck on regardless. And that's seen as a noble thing. It's seen as a noble thing. And I see it as a noble thing as well. We ain't know any better. And when it comes to, and I made a whole video of it, so check this out. When I talk about Nassar or whatever, only through Nassar Jassar will you realize just how fucked over you were. Taking bad deals all across the board. A lot of evil people will pay. Now, even for myself, and I'm not mightier than anybody else. When I think about when I had thought about all of this suffering, this prior to researching Nassar Jassar, when I reflected on the suffering in this world, I was thinking too small. I was thinking entirely too small. And I was thinking in terms of things that was actually impossible in my mind. You know what I'm saying? This is why you have to expand your horizons, because you'll miss simple things till somebody else redirects your focus. You know what I'm saying? And so I just thought, like, when I think about the suffering in the world, I'm thinking, child trafficking and human traffic, all those things. But I mean, I'm not gonna say it gets worse than that, but I mean, there's definitely a lot more uh, evil things added to the pot. So, I was talking about bad deals, And when a big part of this Nassar, the reason why debt is being removed, and honestly, look, if you don't believe it, if you go look at the U.S. debt, I don't know if it's called a calculator, but I don't know. It's just like it has a chart full of all the U.S. debts, and it's to my understanding, maybe I'm wrong. It used to have mortgages up there, and now the mortgages are just missing. It's not up there anymore. All right, it's moving very slow. Moving very slow. I took a screenshot earlier today, sent it to my baby mama of I was on Experian, and I disputed everything on that motherfucker. Everything. I disputed some credit cards, a lot of credit cards. I got over my head. I got a little out of control last year, but gone. Just gone. They're all gone. I probably had like 7 lines of credit, and I got behind on all of them. All gone. The only thing up there right now is still student loans, but it will go away. Make no mistake about it. So when I talk about the bad deals, pretty much any deal that you sign with the bank, because banks are they getting out of there. Don't worry about that though. Don't worry about that. The banks they getting out of there. Um, any deal pretty much that you made with the bank where you have to pay interest, forgiven. All right, that's why the mortgages is just no bad deals. Because we talk about because we it has probably has a lot to do with collateral. They don't have collateral. All right, this is why we are going to enter a world where money will be banked by gold and silver. You don't believe me? What's a coin shortage? Where the coins go? Where they go? Coins been around our whole life. Where they go? Where they going? How you gonna say it's a coin shortage? What happened to them? They left the country or what? You know? And this isn't happening everywhere. But how come I'll go to the bank? I've been going to this bank for a long time, real very long time. I've been around for quite some time. Can't take money out. You can put money in though. This is why I invested in silver. All right. I could have went gold. I mean, the price difference between gold and silver right now is staggering. I could have got some gold, but I wouldn't. I bought 100 ounces of silver. All right, cost about $3,000 or so like that. If I wanted to get 100 ounces of gold, can't even do the math off the top of my head. Maybe I want to say 30,000, but that is not true. I mean, we're closer, maybe what 200,000 dollars, maybe. Yeah. So, and even if I'm wrong, let's say 5 years from now I'm wrong, the silver didn't depreciate. So, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like this is one of those things where you talk about low risk, high reward, silver, pretty much. And and over the years, of course, I hadn't heard about this. Firstly, understanding that it doesn't depreciate, or if it does, it'd be by a little bit, but it's bound to jump back up. But hearing that the money will be backed by gold and silver, and my whole life, and I'm the type of person to take risks, and I'm very intuitive. But there have been plenty times, and it has cost me quite a few thousands of dollars, maybe even millions, where I got in the way of my intuition. This is the most imperative part. This is kind of the quintessential, not even quintessential, but this is kind of the summary, the reason why I even came to you to make this video. Intuition. The more you tap in, and I'm talking about actual meditation now because I look at meditation as a practice, and when you come out of meditation, whether if you define it as coming out of meditation, but I just mean like a session, whether it's a breathing session, whatever it is, then you're in the game. The world is the game. Meditation is kind of like the simulation of sorts. Some people, uh, some people will call this life a simulation. And so what happens is you start opening yourself up to, I was talking about the voice in your head, maybe your voice and maybe something else, don't know, but it's yours to use. And if you start listening more and more to that voice in your head, not the voice in your head that's your mother, or your father, your best friend, your girlfriend, whatever it is, this is your voice or it resonates with you the most. The more you start listening to it, the more you get guided into the right direction. My friends, about a month ago, less than a month ago, whatever, I did that one thing and made about $18,000. All right. So I am a believer. And I am a believer when it comes to things like listening to your body, um, which is just listen. So any given moment of the day, if your body tells you to lay down to sleep, then you just sleep. You know, if you're trying to gain weight, like I was trying to gain weight, and for whatever reason you didn't eat throughout the day, but you don't feel like force feeding yourself, don't force feed yourself. You know what I'm saying? I took that approach and I gained. Was still gaining weight. I weigh the most I've ever weighed in my life. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't put pressure on myself like that. You know, because there are placeholders. Not a little stand-in. So if you don't feel like being hyper productive, you might feel extremely groggy or whatever it is. Then you lay down on your back. You might pull out a Kindle or something. You know what I'm saying? Also, when it comes to Kindles, because I got physical books as well. I realized that because we've been so programmed to do all of this with our phones and all, it's a lot easier for me to read on the phones, on the devices, on the Kindles. It just comes naturally for me. Like so accustomed to have a light in my face and all this. And my glasses, they got the blue shade blockers. I'm not as affected. My circadian rhythm isn't wouldn't be as affected by having a screen in my face. But I'm so accustomed to doing it, it just it comes natural. And also, if you get Kindle Unlimited, and it's not an advertisement, but I have to say it. If you get Kindle Unlimited, then you can put the voice on. You can put it at 3x, 4x, force your eyes to follow. Now you speed reading. You know what I'm saying? Strategy, strategy at a very affordable price. All right, it's just some of the things. I don't know, man. That's just how I live my life, man. And when we talk about it, because I kind of grew up right brain dominant. As I became a man, I kind of resented that because I feel like I was too emotional. You talk about the yin and yang. You want to have, maybe you want to have a type of balance or whatever. And I did start to balance it out with the left brain and logic. But ultimately, man, you need that type of teamwork where it's like you got to have the vision, the right brain vision to dream of the impossible, and then let the left brain take care of the rest. You know what I'm saying? Have a question, have this wonder of a child, and then you let the adult solve it. You know what I'm saying? Like the adult and you solve it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Like building a goddamn treehouse. It's like, Dad, can treehouse, man. And your kid don't know nothing about building a treehouse, but he saw it on television, so he knows it's possible, or whatever it is. Then the dad he figures out how to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I spend my life. That's how I spend my life. So, for example, and I could go on and on about this, man. This is nothing but, man, practice meditation. If I have a problem with the way that I think society has been run, the way they're running society, and I do, then I say, how can I effectively understanding that I have bills, obligations, a child, which is part of that. How can I manage to stay on the outskirts? Then that's all you should be. That's all you should be focusing on. It ain't no how can I be a better employee? You know what I'm saying? And I don't never really like to, I never really try to mock people, but like ultimately, because I don't know a better way of saying this, if you don't want to be a slave, don't be researching how to be a better one. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, and we're all at different points in our lives, and that is completely understandable. But when it comes to how to have a perfect interview and things like that, look, if I ever have to have an interview for a job in the future, I don't need to research. All right, because look, I don't care what I need to kind of what I need to sustain my life, whatever it is. I have to come as I am. All right, will I dress up? Probably. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I don't mind dressing up. But at the same time, look, I gotta talk to you like this. I talk to everybody the same way, and I just find it very. It, it's kind of it's. I don't even have the rationale for this to try to change who I am for somebody I just met. I just can't do that. All right, and this is the way I go about my life. This is why this is how I'm able to make progress at such a faster rate because I'm not paying attention to what anybody else may think of me or whatever it is. All right. There have been times I came on this video, I recorded a video 3, maybe 4 days in a row wearing the same shirt. Take a shower, put on the same shirt. See the same people every day wearing the same shirt. Maybe they talk about me behind my back. Maybe I don't give a fuck because I don't. I just really don't. It's just certain things that you just release yourself from. That's a part of the ego death, I would have to say. Just a little part of it. But this is how I want to go into the world. And maybe I'm trying to get a little bit ahead of the curve, trying to butt in front of the line, but this is what I would be as an old man anyway. See how a lot of old people they just don't give a fuck. Took decades to learn that, and I done got it right. I got it right now. All right, I ain't even 30 years old yet. Well, I will be soon. But that's just my mentality. That's how I like to go about things. Because the fact of the matter is, if I don't know anything, I know this flesh right here. All right, can't nobody tell me about me better than I can tell me about me. All right, and that's the problem. It's because you don't spend enough time in meditation and introspection and reflection, even rumination, that people could tell you something about yourself and you believe it. Somebody gonna call me on the phone talking about, you know what your problem is? Nigga, you don't know me. What the fuck you talking about? Nigga, yeah, I know what my problem is, but you don't. All right? You gonna tell me what my problem is. Focus on your goddamn problems, all right? Do you know what your problems are? Fuck. You want to go into everything being you, not the person you think they want you to be. Absolutely. 100, 1,000. And that's the thing. I notice patterns. All right, I took an IQ test and it says that I just notice patterns, but that's just something that's very intuitive to me. And I forgot where I was going with this. But I noticed that a lot of people subscribe to things it doesn't work for them. It's what they've been told, it's what they've been indoctrinated by. And so they just roll with it. All right. And I always do this. I don't know. I always do this. So like if I would like go to a party, for example, and I see the people, let's say a popular song come on, like the song that made Cardi B blow up. I forgot what it's called. Not the WAP thing, but the first song that came out. But anyway, the song came on and I just started looking at people, started looking at all the women, and I could feel the pressure. The pressure of people having to join in. Like you you never really cared about the song, but it's on. You don't want to be that person that's just like picture music playing around me. I'm just like that. You don't want to, I don't know. A lot of people they want to come off as approachable and all these things. A song come on, they don't necessarily fuck with. They got to. I've seen it. I've done it. I've done it before. It's been a while. I've been, it's been quite some time. But it's because I can't fake these things, or I choose not to fake these things, and I don't really put myself in a position where I have to. All right, because the fact of the matter is, it's kind of like a skewer of sorts, and that's a chess reference when your piece can't move anywhere because it's just blocked. And you put yourself in a position like where there's gonna be music and there's gonna be drinking and things like that. Hey, you don't want to be a part of it either. Then what you gonna do? You gonna try to talk over the music? You gonna try to have a deep conversation with somebody who's drunk? No, you're just gonna put yourself somewhere else, even if it means that you're gonna find yourself alone. All right, build it, and they will come. All right, that wasn't really necessarily about a physical thing. It wasn't necessarily about getting yourself a storefront and people gonna come for coffee. I mean, yeah, I mean that's a part of it, but also is you build yourself up into that person that you want to be. And I'm kind of slow on saying that because when you build yourself up, ultimately you don't even know who you're going to become. You don't even sometimes you don't even know what you want until you become that thing, and you say, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's what this was all for." But you build that up, and then certain people flock to you because of that. All right, a lot of people flock to me. They say I'm different. You know, to put it lightly, well, you're not like these other people, whatever it is. I tried, but then I realized how much time I was wasting. For all I know, I might not be getting this time back. I wouldn't be mad if I don't, but while I'm here, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be thinking about like legacy and how I want to live my goddamn life. All right. People still trying to go through life with this old way of thinking. This old way of thinking. And this is why they get kind of, that's why they get the label sheep. Excuse me. Mediterranean food. But this is why they get labeled sheep. They just blindly believe, blindly believe. It's really like that song. Bye bye, black sheep, have you any wool? And then the sheep says, yes, I got some wool right off my fucking back and ass. 3 bags of it, too, for whoever wanted. And that's just what the average person is. They just willingly give themselves up, not for the sake of humanity, not so the world can grow, but because they just, I mean, they don't know any better. All right, it's how do I say this? It seems much easier to give yourself to a plantation that doesn't fuck with you, doesn't care about you, as opposed to breaking free, creating a better foundation for yourself and the people around you. All right. I think there are only, like I said it before, there's probably only like a handful of solidified purposes that we have in this life, and the rest is just kind of make believe. All right. You want to grow up and be the greatest rock star of all time. Play the guitar better than anybody else. But really, I mean, what does it all mean? You may, I'm not going to say that you can't and inspire people. What can you leave behind? That's all I'm saying. And there are artists in many fields, people making greater impacts with less crowds. You know what I'm saying? Your grandma may have a greater impact on you than your favorite artist, your favorite basketball player, whatever it is, based off principle, the principles that were instilled in you. All right. And one thing that I need people to realize, because oh yeah, this is what I meant to say, and this is going to throw me off completely because as I'm reading the comments, says you want to go into everything being you, not the person you think they want you to be. Is because as you're trying to fit into this crowd and what's popular right now, what do you see? You see your family members, whoever it is, they flock to that breath of fresh air. And then everybody else is just trying to play catch up, maybe get a crumb of that culture, and then it's off to what's next. It really is. It really is. That's how it works when you talk about what's popular. All right. And if you take a step back, man, you will see people turn from let's just say a Lil Wayne copycat And they might turn into a Wiz Khalifa type copycat. You know what I'm saying? Or then they might turn into a Amigo copycat. You know what I'm saying? Because they see what's popular, they see what people are flocking to. They like it their damn self, and now they carry themselves like that. It's a temporary thing. Hey, I figured so long as I stay true to what it means to be me, as I'm always fucking changing, I'll never be outdated. You know what I'm saying? I'll never be outdated. You know what I'm saying? I'll always be the thing, even if it's just to me. Don't matter. Don't really matter, man. I'm a tough buy. I'm a tough buy, and I think that's just something that I've gained with, because I'm a Taurus. I'm a Taurus, true and true. And we supposed to be materialistic, and me and I do value some nice things. I really do. But as life started to go on and I started spending more time within myself, I realized like a lot of these things, they just really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like the name brands don't really matter. That don't mean you're gonna see me walking down the street with some Shaq Diesels. But ultimately, I'm not committed to a lifestyle of vanity. I'm really not. You know, I contemplated the other day, yesterday morning, getting myself a gold chain, and I was saying, well, man, that's vanity, man. But then I started thinking, also, look, hey, it might not depreciate. Man, it's not gonna be top quality gold. A little something solid, cost $100 or something like that. But I'm a tough buy. I really be talking. Sometimes I'm such a tough buy. I won't even buy the things that I need to buy. You know what I'm saying? It may be, the conversation might be socks or whatever. Now, thankfully, I do have socks. I don't have to make that decision. But I'm like, man, well, why pay $20 for socks? With these socks with holes in it, they good. Nobody gonna see them. In my shoes, nobody gonna see them. You know, I'm just a tough buy. This room gets hot sometimes at night, even with the air on. It's just probably just big ass TV behind this laptop. And I didn't want to spend the money on a fan. I really didn't. I didn't want to spend the money on silver, but I just didn't want. I didn't want to. I didn't want hindsight to stick as big. Never mind. I didn't. Okay, I didn't want hindsight to kick my ass, man. It was about to be a big pause moment. A big pause moment. Um, and if it's one thing that I also learned through my spiritual practices and intuition, is that one great move, one great decision can eradicate just many false moves. All right. And I guess that maybe that would have a lot to do with the law of probability, because nobody goes into something wanting to fail. Maybe you expect to fail, but you don't want to fail. I could see it being a logical, I could see that being the case if you wanted to fail at something you didn't even really want to do, which is it doesn't seem, it sounds counterintuitive, counterproductive, but that's definitely a thing. You want to fail at something you never wanted to do anyway. So then the question is, why are you even doing it? All right. So let me try to find a way to make some closing statements. So in closing, meditation is much deeper than the breathing techniques, because you may not always be conscious enough to keep doing these deep breathing techniques. You may not always be able to be still. You may not always be alone. You're gonna be put into compromising positions. It's gonna be a lot of trial and error, and you're gonna have to embody things, certain things that you learn, certain lessons that you learn, so they do not repeat. All right. And it's best that you do this, because this is why a lot of people end up attracting, certain types of people. All right. And that gives you the conversation that men are trash, or all these women are hoes. And that's because there's just something about what you gravitate towards. There's something about your energy. All right. So you have to embody a great deal of what you learn, or you're going to keep seeing the same things. And that's just one of the great benefits of learning from other people. So you don't have to make that mistake, but also learning from yourself. All right. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Best wishes.